evening, everyone. As Fred said, my name is Nick Black. I'm from the Trustees of Reservations. I would just like to take a few minutes this evening to give you guys a little bit of background on this project that I've been working on, as well as the organization that I work for, and then really sort of open up this concept and idea that we'd like to discuss to hear your impact or your input and feedback in terms of how we want to move this thing forward. So. The Trustees of Reservations, as you may or may not know, is a land conservation nonprofit organization here in Massachusetts. We've been around for about 127 years. America's oldest and Massachusetts' largest land conservation organization. We own and operate a whole bunch of different properties all across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, everything from large coastal properties like Cranes Beach up in Ipswich and World's End down in Hingham, a number of places out on the Cape and Islands, a couple of working farms, old historic homes, things like that. We were originally founded in the city of Boston by Charles Eliot, who's a protege of Frederick Law Olmsted, and have a deep history here in the city working to preserve and protect places for access for everybody. And so a couple of years ago, as part of our examination in terms of what we're looking at on the coast, all of our other coastal properties, an idea was hatched to look to see what we could do to actually create and expand climate resilient, world-class green open space along Boston's waterfront. And so the Waterfront Initiative was hatched as an idea back then. In the intervening years, we've undergone a number of different site investigations to determine where along the harbor there might be some appropriate places to do this type of work. We've spent a good bit of time over the last 2 years working with Massport. They originally issued a request for proposals for Pierce Park Phase 3, which is in East Boston, adjacent to the current Pierce Park complex. They're expanding the second phase of that park probably sometime this year, and we're still in conversations with them about doing the same thing over there. But as part of this conversation that we've been having, and actually you just heard the council refer to it, in the wake of the bomb cyclone that happened in 2018, the mayor's office put out a resilient Boston Harbor vision for all of the city of Boston, all the coastal areas. We were fortunate at the time to work with the mayor's office on helping to develop that plan a little bit, contribute some of the ideas that we had been thinking about and working on. And we were also pleasantly surprised by some of the suggestions that the mayor's office came up with. And specifically looking at that report, the little portion of Sargent's Wharf that was colored in green along the north end really sort of caught our attention. And we started to think about, well, is this an appropriate place for the type of resilient green open space that we would be looking to build? It's a little bit different than some of the other projects we've been looking at. For example, the dry dock down in the South Boston waterfront, the Seaport area, is an old piece of marine industrial infrastructure that's been sitting there unused since the 1970s. Same thing with Pierce Park 3 in East Boston. These are marine industrial use, or places that no longer have the marine industrial use that they once did. So an easier conversation to be had in terms of its use. However, in Sargent's Wharf, it's a little bit different. Obviously, it's a very active place where people park on a daily basis. Parking is a big issue in the North End, as you also heard the councilor talk about when it sounds like she's going to try and tackle it in a comprehensive way. But it also sees a lot of flooding, and both during that period, the bomb cycle period, as well as a lot of the tidal flooding that occurs even just along in the monthly king tides. We're starting to see more and more water come up on the shore. And so throughout the last probably, I don't know, maybe even a year or so, we've been having conversations with various people in the neighborhood, as well as the Boston Planning and Development Agency, who owns that parcel, about what the appetite might be for us to pursue creating more open space in the North End for that particular location. And heading into this year, there has been some interest on behalf of BPDA for pursuing that, although I think they're a long ways away from coming up with any sort of conclusion or an answer. But we as an organization felt it was important to start an early conversation with the neighborhood to determine what you guys all thought about it. Find out what you thought about the best and highest use for this particular parcel, what the concerns might be, any objections, because ultimately, if this is something that we do want to see move forward, it's going to require a collaborative effort from everyone in the neighborhood offering their support and really pushing it forward. It's not really something that we'll be able to do ourselves. And so that's kind of why I'm here tonight. I want to float this idea to see if there was any thoughts or questions about it. We had a really good conversation last Thursday with the NEWNC folks and a few familiar faces, but want to also spend the time with the council answering any questions you might have and seeing if there might be any additional thoughts or ideas to consider.
Thank you, Nick, for coming here and talking about this. I think it's really interesting to have the green space over at a spot that constantly floods, especially with the climate resiliency plans coming in from the city, the climate ready. So seeing green space over there or the potential of it is definitely interesting and definitely something that I feel like a lot of us in the neighborhood are interested in and hearing what can be done over there. I know one of the concerns about losing is parking. What can happen over there, or what do you see going into an open space like this? What have you done in the past? What do you think that can work at a spot at Sargent's Wharf?
Sure. Well, Sargent's Wharf is a pretty significant parcel size-wise. It's a little over 2 acres, which is there's not a lot of that much open space or available space along the waterfront. There's all sorts of development pressures that have, as you guys very well know, working to fight over every last square inch of the city to build up. So for one, we see this as a great way to sort of preserve actual space for public use. In terms of the types of design that we've been looking to build there, we've been fortunate to work with Michael Van Valkenburg quite a bit, who's a landscape architect, world-renowned, does amazing work. Created all of Brooklyn Bridge Park. If any of you have ever been down there and seen what they've built down there. He and his team also just completed Martin's Park along Fort Point Channel. And we learned a lot from their experiences at Brooklyn Bridge Park because, as you know, they endured an even worse storms, Superstorm Sandy in 2012, really right after they had finished building a lot of that park. And through the resilient design of the place, which, through thoughtful plantings that work with the natural habitat, the seawater, the salt marshes, field grass beds, things like that. Brooklyn Bridge Park did not sustain nearly as much damage as you would have thought, having been underwater for 3 straight days. And so there's all sorts of, when we talk about resilience, we really sort of think about it in 2 ways. First of all, it's protecting the neighborhood. What can we do to build the topography, as the councilor was just saying, to stop the inflow of water? But then what can we also do to build a resilient place that itself can be inundated with water, that it's not that big a deal for it to recede and have all of the landscape still in place. And so that's what we'd be really looking to do. The north end is pretty fortunate, I would say, in terms of the open space currently available along the waterfront. You already have a gorgeous park in Christopher Columbus. And you also have a very active park being redone over at Lingo and Popolo. So there isn't nearly as much pressure in terms of the use of the space that we see in other places. East Boston's a great example. Lots of conversation over what sort of active or passive uses might go on there. But it's, I think, a fantastic opportunity to do something unique that fits within the character of the neighborhood. I think that's a very important piece of it. And another reason why we want to engage in this conversation early with the neighborhood to find out what people would like to see there. But I think it's, goes back to what the Trustees was founded for, which was to provide respite for people who lived and worked in a very busy and at the time a very dirty city to find places to relax in community with nature. So having a more natural landscape, I think, would be very important there.
Open up to any other questions from the council?
I have ideas.
I love ideas.
Okay. So thinking of it as like a mini Esplanade, like obviously the river is beautiful, but the harbor, in my opinion, is far superior, but we don't have anything quite like that. I guess Christopher Columbus Park would be close, but there isn't, it's very natural. So a place where people can do yoga, a place where maybe there's like an outdoor cafe like you see on the on the Esplanade, maybe like a mini hat shell where there could be like concerts. So
Mhm.
like music and food and places to relax and work out. Kayaking would be nice, where you can actually like
Get down into the water.
get down there.
Absolutely.
I like a good hammock, you know, just like hammocks and trees, and so a place where you can relax. There's a lot.
Have you
going
been
on
to
here.
Brooklyn Bridge Park?
I feel like I have.
So they actually built a hammock grove, which is a fantastic little
Okay,
spot.
I haven't
where-
been there,
Yeah,
but
you
yeah,
should,
that's
you should
awesome.
definitely check that out. If you're ever down in New York City, it's a really good place.
So I know you're talking about a little bit more like of a natural open
Mhm.
space, but I also feel like a little development might be nice because we have the Greenway, we sit out there, we have Christopher Columbus Park, but there isn't actually entertainment,
Right.
so maybe natural entertainment.
That's a wonderful idea. And I think that's a key element of all of this is going to be the sort of idea sharing and fact finding and building all of this together. You know, it's one of the things that we're really looking forward to is having a robust community engagement process that takes some of these ideas and actually moves them forward. But I think our first step is to tell the city and then the BPDA and the mayor's office that this is important and it's something we're looking to do.
So is the idea to have like a hybrid of parking too? Is that, you can eliminate some of the parking?
There's a wide variety of options, I think, in terms of what we actually want to see there. I mean, the amount of parking on the open space obviously directly impacts the quality of the open space. I think the more area that you can commit to open space, the better off you'll end up being. But of course, there's going to be pressures on parking, and the question is, what do you do with that? Can you build a sort of post office square model subterranean garage, which sounds like a good idea. From what I understand, subterranean on the water is
Yeah.
pretty expensive. Not impossible, but expensive to do. So there's a number of different considerations in terms of how we approach that problem. But I think it is a problem that will clearly need to be solved, because I don't think it's probably going to be good enough for us to just sort of do away with 252 parking spaces without coming up with some sort of alternative.
And the hat shell is gonna be, we're gonna have meetings about a hat shell.
She's throwing concerts already, so yeah.
So I would not do that.
We're thinking big, and then you narrow down to what's possible. You
I
can't
can hear
just
conversations. Box,
yeah.
disrupt the creative
I can hear
process.
conversations currently out from that parking lot in my apartment. How about the noise here?
Talking about much
Yeah.
bigger,
Yeah.
and I don't know the topography of the harbor, but is anybody talking about surge barriers between the harbor islands?
Yes,
Oh, good.
lots of people are. It is a subject that has been often studied. UMass Boston did a full harbor barrier study probably 2 years ago. In fact, it actually preceded the Resilient Boston Harbor Plan. And I think one of the reasons why the city took the step that they did, and the mayor's office put that vision out, was because they determined that it was going to be very, very expensive to actually build out a harbor barrier. And
It's
so
been done in Holland.
it has been done in Holland, yeah. So that isn't, that's certainly way out of my scope.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I just wanted
it's
to know
something
if it
people
was
have
out
considered.
there.
And, we're still in the stage where we need to come up with a solution, whether it's that solution or some more shore-based, green infrastructure solutions. I think that's probably still
Or a
the best.
combination.
Or a combination of the two.
Doesn't New Bedford have one too? Or something like that?
What?
New Bedford too.
Oh.
They have just one.
Any other ideas? So with this, it's gonna have to be elevated, obviously. I'm saying like,
Yeah, there
Is that
would
final?
be some added, elevation to it. I mean, probably closer to the back than to the front. All of the various design elements and elevations and things like that, it'll all be determined when the city does the climate ready study. Because they'll have basically a target elevation for like mean high tide, and what it will be in now and what it will be in 2070. And so we'll have to build to those specifications. And so we'll just work off of whatever the city has already done in terms of determining what that looks like.
I mean, as far as other ideas, I mean, I know dog parks are always, we already have one, but I mean, one that's closer to the waterfront. I mean, there's one on the other side of the north end, people on the waterfront side. I mean, instead of having them bring their dogs to Christopher Columbus Park or places where there's a lot of activity, a lot of engagement going on. Come up with a space that can make those areas designated for kids to be out playing around, throwing frisbee and football,
Sure.
and have a spot where people bring their dogs on the waterfront or more dog friendly over there,
Small
so that
spot.
kids are not
Street.
playing in dog urine.
Just
Yeah.
saying, like, if we have a
It's not
couple
solid.
dog parks, I don't want the great views to be just given to the dogs. As much as I love dogs, put it near the street.
I love dogs too, I have one
But
myself.
dogs
but
are great.
Certainly a balance to each dog.
Cat person, sorry.
Clearly.
Any other questions?
Any other ideas, or anything else that everyone would like to see?
It's time to think big.
Yeah, I will just conclude in saying again, thanks for the time, I really appreciate everyone's thoughts on this one. So we're at the very beginning of this process, and I think this is a conversation that we're gonna wanna continue. So we'll probably be looking to host our own sort of neighborhood-wide meetings, probably sometime, either by the end of the month, probably somewhere closer to February at this point. So we'll certainly let this group know and would appreciate sharing the word. If there are any of you who are so inspired that you wanna actually help us do this, we're gonna probably put together a little neighborhood task force that will help kind of guide this work. And so Amy, iNation, right there, she's my project manager. Afterwards, if you want to just come say hi to Amy or I, and we'd love to take kind of your information and would really appreciate the help and thoughts in helping move this forward.
Do you have anything online that you can mention so we can?
Amy would have killed me if I'd forgotten this part. So, yes, we actually have a website, and we have a few little handouts if you want to check it out, but it's onewaterfront.thetrustees.org. And you can see all of the different things that we've done. Most of it to date is for other sites and other areas in the city. We don't have a lot about Sargent Wharf yet, because like I said, this is pretty new in terms of the scope of the entire initiative. But I think we'll probably anticipate that changing here shortly. And we also have a great blog that Christine writes, and so if you want, you can sign up, follow updates for the blog, and stay up to date.